Hi everyone, this video is all about environmental explanations of behavior. I'll start by defining environmental explanations of behavior and then give you 3 reasons why embracing environmental explanations can be helpful when addressing student behaviors in your classroom. So let's start by defining environmental explanations of behavior. Simply put, we don't want to view behavior in a vacuum. We want to view behavior within the context in which it's occurring in our classroom. So in other words, physical aggression, property destruction, cell phone use, talking with peers. We don't want to just look at those behaviors specifically. We want to look at the environmental variables associated with the behavior. What's happening before? What are the antecedents or quick triggers? What's immediately preceding those behaviors? What are the consequences? What's immediately following that behavior? What are students accessing or avoiding consistently, contingent on engaging in those behaviors? That's what we're talking about with environmental explanations of behavior. Behavior doesn't occur in a vacuum. The best way to investigate and respond to behavior is by considering the environment in which it's occurring. Okay, so 3 reasons to embrace environmental explanations of behavior. The first one, it makes behavior more predictable. If we can identify what triggers problem behavior, maybe we notice that students start to talk with their peers when they go 10 to 15 minutes without social interaction. Maybe we realize transitioning from a preferred to a non-preferred activity triggers tantruming behavior. Maybe we see that a task demand triggers physical aggression. If we identify what's happening before behaviors and after behaviors, maybe our students are accessing attention. Maybe they're avoiding or altogether escaping non-preferred tasks and activities. Behavior becomes more predictable, which makes it easier for us to prevent and respond to those problem behaviors. Okay, so that's one reason environmental explanations of behavior are helpful, makes behavior more predictable and thus easier to address. Reason number 2 is it allows us to adapt to what we're doing as teachers and adapt our environment to respond and better support our students. So one of my favorite components of applied behavioral analysis is the notion that before our students will change their behavior, we as service providers need to change our behavior, both the way we interact with our students and the environments which we cultivate and maintain in which our students interact. So in other words, if we're noticing that transitioning from a preferred to non-preferred activity immediately precedes tantruming behavior. Okay, maybe what we do is we adapt our environment and our interactions to where we give our students more notice that we are transitioning. Okay, or we use a different intervention like the Premack principle. First we transition and complete this non-preferred activity, and then you can pick what you do afterwards. Okay, maybe we can incorporate interests and experiences to make tasks less aversive and thus decrease the probability our students engage in behaviors to avoid or altogether escape those tasks. Whatever we're doing, identifying what's happening before and after the behavior makes behavior more manageable because we can change what we're doing, how we're interacting with our students, and how we're structuring our environment to better support student needs. And the third reason environmental explanations of behavior are so beneficial to embrace in our work with students is it allows us to remember that behavior is a form of communication. Whether students realize it or not, they're communicating wants, needs, preferences through their behavior. And it's not a personal attack. It's not an attempt to be disrespectful to us as educators. It allows us to respond more educationally and professionally with empathy and compassion. If we understand our students engaging in this behavior because they find this task incredibly aversive, rather than saying they're being disrespectful to me, we can say, you know what, maybe there's a way that we can make this task less aversive. Maybe it's scaffolding instruction to make it easier for them to complete, bringing in real world activities, real world events to make the learning more relevant and meaningful for our students. So it allows us to respond more professionally, educationally, and not take behavior so personally.